The UFC is headed back to the apex, and we're hopefully headed back to the bank with some profits from our Underdog Fantasy entry. We've been crushing it lately. We smoked the UFC 321 Underdog Fantasy entry, and let's look to do the same at UFC Vegas 110. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say higher or lower than any of the numbers you see on the screen, you slap a few of them together, and you can make some very real money. They'll even give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do to unlock that free money is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and all sorts of free money options come pouring in. That's wewantpicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. Let's dive in. I'm going to focus very squarely on fist fights. We're going to do a UFC entry, but you can see here they have video games by the dozens. They have esports. They have League of Legends. They have FIFA. That's a soccer video game. I'm just kidding. But let's go ahead and focus on the fist fights. I've been waiting. I'm filming this far later than usual because I've been waiting for more lines to drop. If you know anything about Underdog Fantasy, you know they have the most amount of options. That's why they're one of my favorite options while watching fights, because you get all sorts of finish lines and takedown lines and strike down lines. And I don't know what a strike down is, but you get the point. This morning, when I checked, we only had strikes. Now we've got some takedowns on a few. We've got finishes on a few. But I do like a handful of these lines, so I don't want to wait too long, because the longer you wait, the more opportunity you have to miss the line that you want, because these do move. These are kind of like betting odds, where the more money comes in, the more the lines go up or down. Let's go ahead and jump in. Right off the rip, we've got a conundrum. This line has been ticking up. The David Onama significant strike line started at 35. It is now 37.5 significant strikes. It's ticking up. I still think 37.5 is fine. If you go through his fight history, he's cruising past that, even in first round finishes. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to do over 1.5 rounds. Because there's a world where David is just looking to nonstop wrestle. I think this fight goes a little bit long. We have two high-level guys. And while Steve Garcia has 5 knockouts in his last 6 wins, David Onama is a high-level striker. He's never been finished. I don't see him getting finished here. I do think we end up in a pretty competitive back-and-forth fight. Certainly a fight that goes longer than 7.5 minutes. So we're going to do the higher there. I'm going to work my way down. I do not think Ante Delia or Delija finishes Waldo Cortez Acosta. So we're going to do the lower on his finish line. I don't think Waldo finishes Ante as well. But you can see Ante's payout is 0.74. Waldo's payout is 0.62. So let's get the tiny bit of juice there. We're going to work our way down. I'm going to do the exact same thing with Temba Garimbo. I don't think he finds a finish. Now, typically, I do the lower on a finish with an underdog. Anytime we get a finish line and the underdog has a lower, I will typically jump all over that. It's not very often that an underdog is winning by finish. But there are circumstances like this one where Jeremiah Wells is very powerful. Jeremiah Wells has very good grappling, and Temba Garimbo's not that dangerous. So Jeremiah Wells is actually the more dangerous fighter of the two. I think Temba wins. I don't think Temba wins by finish. And if Temba loses, it could 100% very well be by finish. He could also lose by getting taken down and held down. All of those scenarios lead to Temba not getting a finish here. So we're going to hammer that lower. Isaac Dolgarian could absolutely win by finish. They juiced his line because Yadier is undefeated. That dude's also jacked. He's a brick shithouse. I'm going to leave that alone because I don't know enough about Yadier, right? We haven't seen enough of him. We've seen Isaac come out as an absolute maniac and find finishes. We also saw him slow down a little bit against C-Rod. I'm going to leave that alone. Charlie Radke, Daniel Frunza. I was leaning towards the lower on finish by Daniel Frunza, an underdog lower finish. But Charlie Radke has been knocked out a couple of times. One by a body shot, one by a shot to the head. He's coming off of a knockout. So we're going to leave that alone. Daniel Frunza hits like a freight train. Charlie should win this fight. He should get takedowns. There's a very big gap in the wrestling and in the jiu-jitsu. So a very easy path for Charlie, but we're going to leave that alone because you can't trust everybody. What we are going to do is the Kevin Christian low. This dude is 6'7", but he's 6'7" and not very dangerous on the feet. His wrestling kind of stinks. He's not going to take down Billy Elicana. Billy Elicana is a durable dude. Billy Elicana is a good fighter. Not only do I think Billy wins, if he loses, I don't think he's going to get finished here. So Kevin Christian to get a finish. I don't think so. We're doing the lower there. The rest of these we're going to leave alone. Chang Ho Lee could very well get 2 takedowns. He should get 2 takedowns. So the higher there makes a lot of sense. The only concern is that sometimes he does come out guns blazing, doesn't really wrestle as much as he should. But he had 6 takedowns in his last fight, so we'll add this. I already have an entry built that's a little safer than the one I'm building for you right now, but let's go ahead and add a couple lines that I think make a lot of sense, and that is one of them. I'm not going to touch the Norma Dumont strike line because we could end up in a fight where she lands 100 significant strikes staying on the outside, pot-shotting, or a fight where Ketlin Vieira, her opponent, is just looking to hold her against the cage or slow her down. Alice Ardeline could put up some very real numbers, but Montserrat Ruiz gets finished. Phil Rowe, I saw that number. I was like, that's low, 35.5. We only need 36 significant strikes. Phil Rowe doesn't really hit that number. He's a low-volume guy. He takes his time. So we're going to leave that alone. And then the last note I'm going to have here is Talita Alencar's name is Anna Talita de Oliveira Alencar. That's an absurd name. I don't know why it's so freaking long. Let's go ahead. We're going to add a boosty. I have a 30% profit boost offered to me for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and throw that in here. We'll throw a couple bucks at it. We'll lock it in. And let's take a look at what we just did. We did Steve Garcia higher on his fight time. Ante Delia lower on a finish, meaning he's not going to win by finish. Temba Garimbo lower on a finish, meaning he's not going to win by finish. Kevin Christian lower on a finish, meaning he's not going to win by finish. And then Chang Ho Lee higher than 1.5 takedowns. I mentioned I already have an entry built. The entry I already have built is this minus a few. The safer entry is the Steve Garcia line, the Temba Garimbo line, and the Kevin Christian line. I added Chang Ho Lee. I added Dante Delia. If you like this, great. If you hate it, that's fine. Get your free money. WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Promo code WW